All right, this is the start of the recording. Welcome to Tuesday, May 26th. Right now, the class is on a 400-meter run, or they're doing 2 minutes of cardio. I kind of explained to them that the intention of today, the warm-up at least, and the strength is to chase away some of that MRF soreness. So as we sumo deadlift, it's not going to be super heavy. As we do the warm up, we're going to take our time. You know it's Tuesday because the gardeners are loud behind me, but we'll get through it and we'll have a good session. So they're about 1 minute into their 2 minutes of cardio. Good, and as we finish up, go ahead and come over to your screen. I want to do a brief talk through the workout here, so make sure you're close enough to where you can read. I won't share the screen until everyone's here though, so we're just waiting on a couple people. Sandra, Christine, I think that's Kristen. Marcia's back. And by the way, everyone is muted except me. If you have a question, feel free to wave at me and I'll unmute you, or you can type in the chat and I'll answer your question. So as soon as we get those three ladies back, I'm going to talk through the workout real quick. All right. Hi, Sandra. Christine's coming back. And then Kristen. All right. So today we have a two-part workout. And like I said in the demo video, the purpose of today's strength and the warm-up is not necessarily to lift heavy, right? So many of us have very, very sore backsides from 300 air squats and all the running. Especially if you did some rowing, you might have some pretty sore posterior chain. And so today we're gonna warm up nice and slow, and then we're going to grab either a kettlebell, a dumbbell, or a barbell, and we're gonna do 5 sets of 10 sumo deadlift. No high pull, just the sumo deadlift, and that is both to practice that movement, but also to chase away some of that soreness. And so how that's gonna work is we're gonna do it a couple warm-up sets with PVC and then with a kettlebell, and then the first set on your barbell, it counts as this first set of 10. So you are only going to do 5 sets of 10, and you're going to add a little bit of weight each time. I imagine Andy might start at 35 kilos and then go to 55, 70, 55, 65, 75, 85, or something like that if he has that much weight. But again, we're not getting super, super heavy today there. Then we're going to transition to a very, very simple Tabata. A Tabata is 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest for max repetition. On each movement here where you see Tabata plate ground to overhead, there's going to be 8 20-second intervals followed by 10 seconds of rest, and then a full minute of rest before the next Tabata. Does that make sense? Cool. Any questions just looking at the workout, like you want to know right now? You have a question you want to know? Yeah, Andy?
Are we actually counting today, our reps?
We are counting. So you will count your reps in the Tabata. Anyone else? No? All right, let's get a nice long warm up here. So go ahead and drop down into plank position, and we're gonna go into our lizard lunge. I'll do my best to talk loudly so that you can hear me, But our lizard lunge is plank position, right foot all the way up to right hand. And we're gonna spend a full minute here just drawing some circles in the ground. So our minute has started now. And we're gonna spend a full minute here. You can drop your knee if it's a little painful, but essentially I want to get into that adductor a little bit. You can even open up and go for some twisting, but spend a full minute here moving around. We're already 20 seconds in. This is our lizard lunge. You should feel those 300 air squats you did. I do. $20 more seconds, and then we'll switch. And go ahead and switch. Left foot to left hand, and our minute has started. And we're gonna go through that range of motion, hit circles. You can open up. We are trying to loosen up the hips here. We're halfway through, 30 more seconds. Continue to move around in the range of motion for 10 more seconds. And staying down on your mat, let's go ahead and go into a pigeon pose. So some of us might need to do a modified pigeon on our backs where we lay and do a supine figure 4. Some of us don't. I'm gonna spotlight Christine because Christine has a good pigeon pose. So go ahead and check out, oh, never mind. Her camera's too high. That's okay. We'll find someone else. Let's see. Dr. Joe's in pigeon pose. So we're gonna hold that for a minute. And as you work through, as you sink into that stretch, you can try to pull your heel a little bit closer to your wrist. Yeah. And some of us may not be able to, and that's okay. We're just working through that, stretches the glute. So we're already 20 seconds in there. We got 40 more seconds to go. Like I said today, nice long, easy warm up before we work into some moderately heavy weightlifting. And then we have a very, very simple conditioning piece today, metabolic conditioning. There's not a lot of skill involved in the movements, and that's purposeful. We're just gonna move and work through some of that soreness. About 15 more seconds and we'll switch sides. Two, one, go ahead and switch. And I'm gonna change the spotlight over to Andy, who is demonstrating a supine figure 4 stretch. And that is accomplishing the same thing as the pigeon pose, right? It just is a little bit more comfortable on the knee. Another variation for those of us who are gonna do this later from the recording, you can put your foot on a box and do an elevated pigeon. That works as well. We're over halfway there, 20 seconds more. Ten more seconds, and before you get up, you're gonna go into 10 push-up down dogs. And yes, the push-ups are gonna be kind of brutal. All right, rest, roll over, and go for a set of 10 push-up down dogs. If you are super sore throughout the chest, you can go ahead and do these from the knee. That's no problem. Nice and slow, 10 push-up, down dogs. When you finish number 10, you can go ahead and pop up and go for 10 air squats. This too will feel kind of brutal. I wish we were in person because I could see all your faces when we're standing in a circle at the hut. So our feet are shoulder width, toes are pointed slightly to the side, and we're gonna drop down into a squat. You'll get 10 of those air squats. Initiating by pushing the hips back. Ten air squats. And then if you have a PVC pipe or a broomstick, now's the time to grab that. You can also do this with a towel. With the wide grip and without bending your elbows, let's go around about 20 times. So we're going through 20 PVC pass-throughs. Trying to keep the elbows from bending, so straight the entire time. If you simply can't make it around without bending your elbows, then take your grip a little bit wider. And that should allow you to make it all the way around without bending the elbows. Nice, about 20 of these. I realize none of us are counting, so we'll just do 5 more. All right, and then go ahead and put that on the back rack. So it looks like this. You're going to take a slight bend in the knee and then hinge. We're gonna go for a set of 10 good morning. Notice that the spine stays totally neutral as I bend about the hip. And all that my knee bends is from that very initial click and bend. Everything else is hip hinge. When you finish those 10, put that to the side. You will need it in a minute or so, so keep it handy. And then go ahead and lay on your back for 10 long-legged sit-ups. We'll lay on the back. Touch your toes, hands and shoulders touch the ground. We'll get a set of 10 here. In the workout, you'll probably be using an ab mat or a towel that you've rolled up. And then after your set of 10, go back to plank position, and we're gonna work through 10 alternating lizard lunges a little bit faster though, so it'll look like this. 1, 2, 3, and so on. So let's get 10 of those. Yeah, just like RA and Debbie are showing us here. 10 alternating lizard lunges, getting that heel as far up to the hand as possible. And after those 10, you can just take a minute rest. Take a little bit of time off. We're gonna move to our specific warm-up, and it's gonna be pretty fast today. So I want you to grab a couple of things. If you, one, we already have our PVC pipe, so make sure that's nearby. And two, if you have an ab mat or you wanna create your ab mat, I do want you to have something under your low back during sit-ups. That can be a rolled up beach towel that is about 2 inches thick, or an ab mat, but do have something under there. So those are two things that you need. And the third thing that you're gonna need is a plate. If you have a barbell, you'll grab a plate. For the prescription today, it's 20 kilos for guys and 15 for gals. However, you got to use what you have and use something that you can move through rather quickly. I don't have any plates at home, so I am going to use a 35-pound dumbbell because that is as close as I can get to 20 kilos. So if you want to use a single dumbbell, that's okay. All right, awesome. Let's move on to the sumo deadlift. So grab your PVC pipe and we're gonna practice this. I'm gonna show you the setup. Notice that my stance is a bit wider than my squat stance. And I'm gonna put my hands about a foot apart from each other in the center of my barbell. Or if you have a PVC pipe, that's totally fine. So I'm going to start by putting this bar on my shins and then driving my knees out so that if I put this PVC pipe on the inside of my knee, you would notice that it's stacked right above my ankle. I don't want to see people sumo deadlifting like this. You see how my knees are over nothing? They're over the mat. I want my knees to be out over the ankle. Now, if I have a narrow stance and I push my knees out, I'm doing too far in the opposite direction. So let's set that position up and we're gonna hold it. I'm gonna come check on you. So set up your sumo deadlift and hold it. Good, make sure those knees are over the ankle. So Christine, you can probably take a little bit wider of a stance, maybe 2 inches. Yeah, you. Yeah, perfect. Oh yeah, there's two Christines, sorry. Christine Hines. Good, so we're holding that position and let's go ahead and Stephen, bring your hands in a little bit. Not quite that much. All right, and let's go for 20 of these. So it'll look like this. I'm in my sumo stance. I'm going to stand and squeeze the glutes. And then on the way back down, I'm going to push the hips back and then knees out at the same time. So watch from the side what this looks like. My bar travels straight up and straight down. You guys are gonna go for 20 of those nice and slow with your PVC pipe. Or I think Debbie has a band there, that's fine too. Sandra, can you do a wider stance with your feet? Yeah, there you go. And push the knees out as you hinge forward. Yeah, that looks good. There we go. We'll check on Dr. Joe. Looking good. If you notice her knee at the bottom, can you pause right there, Dr. Joe? The knee is over the ankle rather than caving in. So that's a really good position. Thank you. Finish your 20. And then you can set that aside once you get 20. Now, we've been talking a lot about the knee position, and yes, that is a very important thing, but the most important thing while we're deadlifting is what? Neutral spine. So when we set up to deadlift, we cannot look like this. We have to have that neutral spine every single time. All right, you will not need that PVC pipe anymore. So if you have a barbell, you can go ahead and grab that. If you have, like me, I have a kettlebell. So I'm gonna do all my sets with my 53-pound kettlebell. And what I'm gonna do to make it a little bit more difficult is I'm gonna go a little bit slower on the way to the ground. So rather than just rip out a set of 10, I'm gonna take mine with like a 2-second lower. And that's gonna, one, help me work out some of this soreness that I have in my legs. And two, it's gonna challenge me a little bit more. So let's do a set of 10 with a load. 10 with a load, and I'll do mine with my kettlebell. Set up that stance so that the knees are over the ankles, and I'll show you the tempo at which I'm going to go. When you've done 10, you can put your load down. So today I told you earlier that we have 5 sets of 10. I'll get to you in a second, Andy. 5 sets of 10 sumo deadlift. That right there was your first set of 10. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 more sets. It's gonna take us roughly 8 minutes. So you can put some weight on or go to a heavier dumbbell, or if you're like me, I'm just gonna do all mine at the same load on my kettlebell. We're gonna work with what we have. Does anyone have any questions with either the movement or what's happening for like the next 6 or 8 minutes? After a set of 10, you're gonna rest about a minute, minute and a half, add some weight, and then do it again. Does that make sense? Awesome. So we got 4 more sets. We're about ready for set number 2. Looks like Christine has added 10 kilos or so to her bar. These don't need to be large jumps. Again, we're just working our way up to 1 moderately heavy set of 10. And after this one, you'll have 3 more sets to go. Right now, we're watching Christine Hines do her set of 10. I apologize, it's gonna be loud for about 2 minutes here. So if you are really, really sore from Murph, then there's no reason to get that heavy today. You can just get to something that feels like it feels good to move at, and then you can do that for 3 more sets. It looks like we've done 2 sets and we have 3 more to go. Take your time here. I'm gonna do my second set. Check on Andy here. Andy's got 40 kilos, maybe 50, looks like 50. And what I like about Andy's position right now is, yes, he has a neutral spine, but he also has his shoulder blades back and down. He has his lats tight, and that's good. You want that. You want to pull against the bar to set your lats. I tell people to think about taking this bar and bending it in half. What that does when you think about bending the bar in half is it takes your lats and turns them on and helps stabilize the mid-back. So on your own, go ahead and get your last 2 sets. Then we'll take a little minute or 2 to get a drink break, and we'll go hit this Tabata. And I have a Tabata timer set up, so it'll be very easy for you guys to know when to start and stop. Nice. RA's got an Atlas stone. Sweet. I think Dr. Joe's going for set 4 here. Looks good. As you stand, continue to push that right knee out. Yeah, there you go. Nice job. So we're either on our second to last or our last set here. No need to rush. We got plenty of time today. If you have finished 5 sets, you can put everything away. All you'll need is your plate, your ab mat, and that's it. Or a dumbbell. If you're going to use a dumbbell, that's fine for the ground to overhead. I'll show you how to do that. So either get your last set or go ahead and clean up. So wrap up that final set, grab a drink of water, and I have 3 movements that I want to demo. I want someone to help me with the plate ground to overhead. Maybe Andy, you could do that since I don't have a plate. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, like a 10-kilo plate. Wrap up your last set here. Steven's finishing up. Yeah, push the knees out. There you go, nice. All right, so I am going to demo the first movement of the Tabata, the first Tabata. So all 8 rounds of Tabata are going to be completed of this movement before we move on to the next movement. So if you remember, movement number 1 is a plate ground to overhead. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like with a dumbbell. I'm gonna grab my dumbbell with 1 hand on either bell. You just need to be careful not to pinch your fingers. So I'm gonna go from the ground, up overhead, from the ground, up overhead. And when you go up overhead, we're going to lock the elbows out overhead. Andy's going to demo with a plate. He's gonna do 5 with a 10-kilo plate. So notice the difference. The plate rotates, whereas my dumbbell doesn't rotate. Good, and at the bottom, if he can freeze at the bottom, notice that's your sumo deadlift position. So interesting little pair right there. Thanks, Andy. So if you have a plate, go ahead and get a set of 10 plate ground to overheads. If you're gonna use a dumbbell like me, let's do a set of 10 dumbbell ground to overheads. I suppose you could also use a medicine ball if you had a medicine ball, and that would be something that you could also use. Who's gonna use a dumbbell today? Who's gonna use a dumbbell for their ground to overhead? Marcia and myself and RA, just be really careful that you don't pinch the fingers on the ground. So if you needed to stop maybe before you touch the ground, like an inch above the ground, that's fine with me. So that's movement number 1. We're gonna do that for 20 seconds, rest for 10 seconds, do that for 20 seconds, rest for 10 seconds, that whole interval 8 times. Then we're gonna rest a minute, and then we're gonna move on to movement number 2, which we've already done, which is a ab mat sit-up. So go ahead and get a set of 10, excuse me, ab mat sit-ups. Hands and shoulders touch the ground. Sit up nice and tall and touch your toes. Good, and what Christine was just showing us, Christine Hines, was when she sat up, she wasn't rounding her back like a turtle and reaching forward to the ground. She was sitting up nice and tall like you would do on a GHD sit-up. So that's movement number 2. We're gonna do that for 20 seconds, rest for 10 seconds, a total of 8 times before we rest a minute, and then we get to the final movement, which is, I think it's gonna be the toughest Tabata out of the 3 today, and it's an up-down. An up-down is a burpee with no push-up. So let me show you some up-downs. You'll put your hands on the ground. You'll jump back into a full plank position. Jump back, stand up and clap. This could be also done by stepping if you need to step. Any questions on the up down before we get 5 repetitions? The biggest flaw here is that people go down to a plank that's not a full plank. They pike their butts up in the air. So try not to do that. Let's get 5 repetitions of up down. Awesome. So those are our 3 movements for the Tabatas. Each Tabata takes 4 minutes, and we're going to have a minute of rest in between each one. So in total, the workout today is going to be 14 minutes long. Any questions with it? I'm going to unmute everyone. Sometimes that works. Sometimes that doesn't work. Oh, it's not letting me unmute all. Interesting. Yeah, Lori?
Yeah, something else, not that last one.
Not an up down. Maybe do you want a row?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, or bike, whatever you have.
Yeah, I have a rower.
Anyone else have a question?
As you said before, we're counting our reps for that, right?
You're counting your reps, and so during every 10-second rest period, you're writing down whatever you did in the last 20-second bout.
All right.
And then at the end, you're gonna write in the chat total number of ground to overhead, total number of sit-up, total number of up down.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you want butterfly sit-ups or straight leg sit-ups?
Butterfly, please.
Okay.
All right. So the Tabata timer that I have, oh, you have a question? Christine? No? All right, Sandra? I can't hear you.
You say butterfly sit-up?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so the Tabata timer I'm gonna use is very, very functional, but the noises that it makes are really annoying, so I apologize for that. We're gonna start with the ground to overhead. So I'm gonna give you 1 minute until we start here. We're gonna start in a minute. When this clock hits 0, it's gonna start the Tabata timer. I'm gonna do this with you, so hopefully this works loud. This is loud enough to where you can hear the instructions, but see how it's counting down? It's at 45 now. We're gonna start the workout in 42 seconds. It's gonna tell you beep, 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 rest, beep, 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 work, and stuff like that. So just be paying attention to this guy, and we should be good to go. 30 seconds, we're gonna start with our plate ground to overheads or dumbbell ground to overheads. We're gonna start in 15 seconds. 10, 2, 1, go.
Work.
And
Rest.
So write down your score, and then we're going to start again in 5 seconds. 2, 1, go.
Work. Rest.
Rest. That was at interval 2, so 6 more to go.
Work. Rest.
5 seconds, we'll start again.
Work. Rest.
5 seconds.
Work.
I'm getting about 8 per round.
Rest.
Whew, all right. We got 3 more cycles.
Work. Rest.
Doing great.
Work. Rest.
1 more left.
Work. Rest. Tabata complete.
All right. We completed the ground to overhead. Nice job. We got a minute of rest before we go to sit-ups. I got 64, 8 each round. 35 seconds. Can everyone understand the timer? Yeah, okay, good. Like I said, it's functional, but it's kind of annoying. That's okay. 20 seconds and we'll go to sit-ups. We'll watch Andy on this one. Oh yeah, 10 seconds. 2, 1, go.
Work. Rest.
7 more. Go.
Work. Rest.
2 down, 6 to go.
Work. Rest. Work. Rest.
All right, that was 4. We're halfway.
Work. Rest. Work. Rest.
2 more.
Work. Rest.
Nice job. We made it to the last round of sit-ups. 20 more seconds. Try to match that number. Go.
Work. Rest.
All right. Enjoy a minute of rest.
Tabata complete.
All right. We are on to the final movement, the up down, the burpee with no push up. So is it better than a burpee or worse? I don't know. Burpee with no push up. We'll go in 32 seconds. We're 2/3 of the way done. 2 Tabatas out of 3 to go. So 4 minutes left. We'll start in 12 seconds. We're gonna watch RA and Debbie. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Work. Rest. Work. Rest.
Nice job, everyone. 2 intervals down, 6 to go.
Work. Rest.
3 down.
Work. Rest.
Woo! Halfway.
Work. Rest.
5 down.
Work. Rest.
All right, we got it. 2 more.
Work. Rest.
Final round. Ready, go.
Work. Rest.
Nice job, everyone.
Session complete.
Oh, all right. Let your heart rate come down. That's a good movement to end on. How'd that go? Good for after Murph? Able to take it easy enough and push when you needed to?
Jordan?
Yeah.
My screen froze. Was I by myself on that?
I don't know.
Okay, because I got kicked out of the meeting. Then it joined all by itself.
I think
Okay.
everyone else was on here.
Oh, well. I ended up with only 5 rounds.
You want to do 3 more?
No, no thank you. I should say no thank you.
We'll watch you.
Marvelous. I'm good to go.
There you go.
Hmm.
So let's type our data into the chat. All right. So I put my data into the chat. It's kind of an example of what yours might look like. Dr. Joe also did a good job. It's always good when you know you're going to be pretty sore to commit to doing some sort of movement the next day, right? Like yesterday was a big time workout. That should tell you, okay, I got to do something tomorrow. And so you guys did the right thing by being here. Sandra,
Yeah,
is it okay?
yeah, yeah. I write my number.
Okay, great.
I'm tired.
Tib tonight?
Tib is this afternoon with Mike.
Oh, okay, fun.
Maybe tonight too. I don't know.
So as everyone's getting their data in here, I'm going to stop the recording. What I want you guys to do, if you're watching the recording for cool down, is part of the warm up. So you're going to do another minute on each side of pigeon and another minute on each side of lizard lunge. Great job.